my face. I got all these spotches and blotches all over me. Jesus, I hope it's a guard mark.
So, you were kind of talking about that story about Daddy and Uncle Mo and Uncle Joe.
What are we talking about? Where do I have to start?
They kind of didn't have a lot in common. Daddy didn't have a lot in common with them.
That he didn't have a lot in common with his brothers, no. So he had friends to fill in for brothers, because all of them had older brothers. And they weren't, it was different. This was right after the war. And a lot of the guys, their brothers were in service. And they didn't see them for 3-4 years. Uncle Joe, let's say, he didn't get discharged until 1945. And he was in service, I think, 1943. 2-3 years, they didn't see it. He was away. I know he was in Europe, baking. He was a baker. And Mo was, he was in the infantry for Mo. So, I mean, every day was an effort, because everybody had children. They had children away, you know. And it was very hard on his parents. Very, very hard on his parents. You had, thank God, everybody that they knew. So then 5 years later, the Daddy went into the army, you know, 1951. And he was just lucky that he was in the Marine Corps. But he was here in the States for 2 years. Otherwise he would have been running up some stupid hill in Korea. Yeah. So, it was hard.
So you knew him then? How old was Daddy when he was in the Marines?
It was 1951. He was 21. They had the draft at that time, and they picked his number. And he went down, and they said, "You, Marine, you." In fact, Izzy upstairs, he was also, at the same time that Daddy was in service in the Marine Corps, so was he.
Did they know each other?
No. Funny.
I guess Daddy didn't sign his check, huh?
Yeah, he was a Remington Raider. Everybody was happy to see him. They were ready to leave when they, yeah, he had a good job. Had a good job. He came home and got married.
How long had you known him since when?
I met Daddy in March 51. He went into service October 51. And then he used to come home for a month. Twice he came home for a month. After basic training, he was home for 2 weeks. And then he was sent to Camp June. He was there for last 22 months, something like that. Thought maybe we'd get married here for a year. And my father said no.
Why?
You don't drag her to a marine camp, you know. There's no way to start. There's no way to start.
Oh, getting married while he was still in the service.
Oh yeah, getting married while he was in service. Oh yeah. And my father said no. He said no. And then we came home in October. We got married in November.
That's that next month or next year?
No, the next month.
Really?
Oh yeah, we knew. I mean, we had made arrangements to get married, and we picked the date. We picked December, and then they called me that they were selling the place. I had to pick another date. So I worked, and at that time you didn't have the cell phones. You know, you can call somebody. You had to write a letter. Well, Daddy called me. You know, and I says, we're going to have to get married before, you know. Then I had to find an apartment. It was hard to find apartments. There were so many apartments that were after the Second World War. apartment's very hard to find. And to
Because
get
all
an
the
apartment,
GIs coming back?
you had to pay under the table. Just so happens I had got a very nice apartment. It was in Aunt Lee's building. Very nice apartment. I was there 2 years, then we bought the house and we moved. And we lived on the island all that time.
What was it like when you first met Dad? Like, what do you remember about that?
What?
When you met Dad?
He took me to,
How did you meet?
well, I didn't meet, Nana Lily met him at a wedding. And a friend of Daddy's son got married. And she gave him my phone number. And we went to, they had, not an opera, but an operetta company in New York, you know. And we went there, and then afterwards we went up to Big Fordham Road. There was a friend of Daddy's was singing there.
Singing?
Yeah, Edie Gourmet. She was singing in the carousel. And everybody used to go and listen to her. She was a neighborhood girl. Used to play tennis with her. Yeah. So
that was your first date to see Igor?
well, I met him in
That's
March.
pretty good.
I met him in March, and then we had the summer. The summer was nice. You know, his friends had a place out in Rockaway. We used to go out on Sunday to visit him. And I worked. He worked. I worked. You know. And then in October he was taken into service. And then,
How often did he write to you? How often did he write to you?
well, in the beginning, you didn't have a chance. When you're out on being inducted into the United States Marine Corps, you're lucky that you can breathe by your. So the first week or so was hard, and then after Walmart, you like make up stories or something like that. You know, it's very hard to have an interesting letter all the time. And even well, you know, he couldn't call when he was in boot camp. Then he came home for 2 weeks. When I took time off. He came home for Christmas time. Then he went back to Camp Bishop, and he used to come home. And sometimes he would come home for the weekend, a long weekend. Take the train up. Just go down to Penn Station and see all the soldiers, you know. And Uncle Shelley was in the Navy Reserve, and he was called up.
Shelley Schultz?
Yeah. So Aunt Beth went to live with Shelley's parents, because they had just gotten an apartment. And they didn't want to give it up. And his parents didn't want her to live by herself. So she subleased, and then she went to live with them. So then Beth and I became, you know, she couldn't do anything, and I couldn't do anything. You know what I mean? So we used to meet on the weekends on Saturday, and used to go to the movie and to dinner. So it was so. But it didn't last very long because then Dad came home, got an apartment, and then Uncle Shelley was discharged from the Navy. They moved back into their apartment, and then she had Linda, I think, about a year later. So everybody found, and we lived in, that's right, Babs and Larry had an apartment on, you don't know the Bronx, Jerome Avenue. Jerome Avenue, not off Jerome Avenue, it had the L.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a party. It was them, I think it was probably the Cowards, and a couple other people. I don't know about Natalie and Irwin, to tell you the truth. No, it wasn't because we didn't meet Natalie until a year later, because that's when Irwin met her. And they were They were drinking orange blossoms.
I have no idea what that is.
You got orange juice and vodka?
Okay.
Your father was having a good time for himself. He didn't taste the vodka until he opened the door and walked outside. Here, my place. And so I'm gonna drive home. And he didn't put the key in his, and I didn't drive at that time. And he couldn't even find give me the taxi. Then he got sick. Then
I didn't see Daddy as a big drinker.
no, he wasn't. But he didn't realize the vodka, because it hit you right then. And so then we got his hair, we got home. And I don't even know where we slept that night. And the next morning, we had to go someplace. And his head was spinning, So he made to get the car, put it back. That reminds me when Stephen went to Jimmy Redcap's bachelor party. And he came home. And Amy was there. I said, you should have opened the door and threw it out. I said to the door. And the next day we're going up to see you. And Harris, and he was just born. And we're in the car. And Amy's driving and Steve says, who's breathing?
That's probably the only time that's happened to him.
That's the only time that Daddy was. I mean, they used to. Before I met him, the guys used to get the Scotch and rye at that time. Nobody had these fancy drinks with the mimosas and the vodka. It was not. And he did. Never, I never saw him overindulge.
Not even at bar mitzvahs? The whiskey sours?
I think ours, I mean, yours and the twins, but not twins to the point where he couldn't drive, you know what I mean? But he was, let me get it. So.
What was Daddy's life like growing up? What do you remember him
Very hard. It was very hard, Mark. You have to realize it, that Mom and Nanny and Poppy had 2 boys in service. They were in a war, You never knew when the phone rang. One of them sent Mark, Daddy, a telegram for his bar mitzvah. And Nanny was already screaming and yelling, She was already fainting. It was such a terrible life for them. Really a terrible life for anybody that had service. And then when they came home and they had these block parties, I mean...
What do you mean?
Oh, when anybody came home from service, the whole block used to come out and used to bring food and everything else. They used to dance and sing and everything else, They were just so happy that these boys are home, and most of them came home all right, And a lot of times the girls came back with their new husbands, because everybody was no family structure really at that time through the war.
Just surviving, right?
Well, Poppy went to work. Nanny worked. She went to work also. And Daddy went to school, and it was coming home and a very quiet existence. Very, very quiet existence. You ask anybody who, I'm sure, all right now, Irwin, so his brother was in I think he was in, but I don't know. That's why all these guys are so friendly, because they all of them had basically lived that kind of a life. You know, where the parents are so in with their children that were not home, worrying about them. And there was a lot of, I mean, there's Howie and Alan and Walden and Daddy and Larry and a couple other, and Harvey, endless. The whole.
How did they all meet?
They all lived in Clark Place. Clark Place was here. Daddy lived over here in Walden. They're all the same age. I mean, they're all, Walden is in September. He was 81. Daddy would have been 81 in August. Somebody was 81 in April. They're all the same age. I think Alan is younger maybe by a year, you know? So they're all the same age, and all went to the same school. So that, and then after, when the war ended, and they were what, 1945, they were 15. So then they started hanging and doing and making out with the girls. Sure. I didn't, no, I didn't.
Did Daddy have a lot of girlfriends before you?
Yeah, they used to go away ski into a ski lodge.
Daddy skied?
No, they didn't
He
ski.
sledded, right? Yeah.
They used to drink, you know. And then the funniest thing is that Larry, no, he knew Babs from the neighborhood. And they got married in 1951. They were young. I mean, 19, 18, 19, 17, 19, something like that.
Wow.
And then Alan and Rita got married soon after them. She became pregnant right away with Susan. She left. She went to Alabama. That's where Larry was stationed. He was in the Air Force. He joined for 4 years. Howie Flaxbone was in the Air Force. He joined for 4 years. Lenny Ketson joined the Navy for 4 years. Alan was going to school. He was going to college. And Daddy waited to be called. He didn't join it for 4 years. He get called to go into the Army. So he went into the Marine Corps, which was his fortune, because in the Marine Corps, everybody there was like a hit from class to junior. They didn't know anything. And Daddy worked for the Times. They go, oh, that was good. A real good one here. He was thrilled.
I remember his, he used to tell me when he worked at the Times that he was like ping pong champion. Remember that?
Right.
When he worked for the Times, he used to play ping pong, and he was like a ping pong champion.
I didn't know that. Oh yeah? I didn't know that. Oh, you see that? You told me something new. We went to
He had a good serve. He had a good slice serve.
He was looking for, there was the people that, the column that stamps and coins. I don't know that we don't remember the name of what they would call it. And the person was retiring. And Daddy put himself in for that particular job. Because he was working in the accounting department, and he wanted to do something. They'd gone to school, he was going to the city college, picking up, because he got paid $52.50. He went 52 weeks, he got $50. So he did a couple of courses, you know, but he wanted this job, and he couldn't get it. They thought somebody a little more experience, and he was really very disheartened. And then Alden spoke to him about coming into becoming a salesman. He said, you know, let me try it. And that was it. Started working for him. The firm he worked for, and that he started. And then Larry Lee came back, and he worked there. You know. So it, funniest thing is, but Pete started to work for Dan Brown. Now Dan Brown was a graduate of Cornell in the advertising. He did all the Ethan Allen advertising with them.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. This is when they were not department stores, just the firm itself. And he told Daddy that he would never would have hired him if he realized he didn't have a college education. Didn't have a college degree. But Daddy said, you know, he said, Dan, I've been working in this how many years? I can't even remember how many years, you know?
Right.
Maybe 15 years, something like that. And that was his lucky day when he met Dan Brown.
Where was he working before that?
Corvettes.
Foam City or something? You worked at Foam?
No, that was before. Corvettes, he worked for them, Corvettes went out. He was working for him, Corvettes, making big money. He was an assistant, you know, things went up. And then he saw this ad in the paper. And he walked into the store. When you were a salesman, you walk into that store and you see what you can sell. You know, I mean, it's like, made my day. And then Dan told him that I don't cut the price. That's what they pay. If they don't like it, they don't have to shop. And Daddy was shocked because everybody cut it, you know. So let me try it, you know. And he came home, he says to me, I'm afraid to take the chance, you know, it's a new store. It's
How long was it open?
they were just open. He was looking for a salesman.
It was fully stocked? Like
It was he started this, that was his baby. Putting these stores with only Ethan Allen furniture, an Ethan Allen showcase. That was his baby. And he started with the one in Farmingdale. You know? And he says, you know, I don't know what. So he says, you know, then Corvettes was shaky. He said, all right. Well, you know, I mean, he worked. He was home early Wednesday. He was off one day during the week. And Sunday at that time they had grousing. They didn't have grousing only. You know, he didn't
the
sell.
concepts.
The only one they had there was a guard. Technically, you couldn't sell. You just come back Monday and tell them what they want, you know. And every time he wanted to open the store, he got sick. He had a heart attack. And Daddy did for him. He treated Daddy nicely. He was a gentleman.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a gentleman.
He's very respectful of effort.
You can't complain about him, really.
What was it like when you guys decided to move from the Bronx to Long Island? Like what was there?
Because Daddy used to come home late. He was working in retail. The place to park his car. Park in the bus stop. And get a ticket. because there's no place to park. And you have to realize years ago in the Bronx, they had these 6-story apartment houses. Nobody had a car at that time. And then after the war, everybody bought a car. How many places can you put a car? When you have, how many families? Maybe 60 families, you know? And you couldn't even rent a car, a parking spot, you know? It's just ridiculous.
So he was living, you were living in the Bronx, and he was working in like...
He was working in, Hempstead.
It's a nice drive home.
No, it wasn't. That wasn't bad. He used to take the bus, the bus right zone. You moved out to the island. He didn't have the expressway. We moved out of there in 1955. We moved to Massapequa in 1955.
I'm just going to check this. How did you decide where to move?
We bought a newspaper. It's not the... Who moved from Massapequa? Indians lived out here. And the house was nice, you know. It was a little house. I had a 1-bedroom, a nice apartment, a very nice apartment in the Bronx. Nice neighborhood, very nice neighborhood. And I was working. And I said to Daddy, I mean, I have to take a Long Island Railroad in. I worked in the city. And the Long Island Railroad at that time was like a death trap. I mean, it was awful. They had so many accidents. There was a, let's try it and see what happens. Because this is silly. So we went out in the summer, we saw the house, and we put it was a 14,000. It was 13, and then it was a little bit of plot. It was 14,150, something like that. And he had a GI mortgage, which was 4.5%. And it was. You remember the house at all?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. All right. When we moved in, it was nice. We had two people. We moved out. It was 6 people. But it was nice. So we moved out in November, and of course my legs. Then I said, you know, this is just too much. I used to run to the train station, and Daddy was working. I had to take a taxi home, you know. Yeah, I don't even know how he did it. I really was. I wasn't driving. I don't know when we shopped for food because Daddy was working. I mean, the stores were not open like now. You know, 24/7. You know. So I left in February. And then I got a job in the Massapequa Park. Doing what? I worked for the sanitation department. Mr. Parisi. He had a woman that worked for him that he wanted to send it to insurance school. And he needs somebody to take, you know, to be in the office. This was fine, you know. I did nothing. And she was able to go to school, you know. He had at that time he was introducing the dumpsters in Long Island. He had a contract with Levittown. They used to bid on contracts for different parts of the island. And it was the crookedest, one of the crookedest He said to me one day, he says to me, if you're sitting, as I sat in the front, he said, if you're sitting in the office, you see talk to people walking that you don't like. He says, you just get up and leave. Then I became pregnant with you, and I just stayed until you were born in January, November.
When did the Furmans move? When did the Furmans move to?
Oh, they moved to be a couple of years later. Andrew was 3 when they moved. They moved. Yeah. Yeah, I remember Jack Fanchel, the character. Every time you